Well, several progressive groups are launching a new petition today urging the federal government to step in and break up Facebook. Recently, there have been other calls to break up big tech companies like Amazon and Google. Critics say that these giants are stifling the competition and there's absolutely no one else could ever compete. Back with us to discuss Harmeet, Dhillon, and Jillian Melcher. Harmeet, there's a case being made against Google, which, by the way, had a big expose on 60 Minutes yesterday. Case being made against Facebook, a case being made against Amazon. Should they be broken up for the good of competition? Your thoughts?
Well, these are three separate companies and they're three separate cases. I'm not sure I see the business case for breaking up Amazon at all. I mean, I think, it's a popular service. Big isn't necessarily bad. The complaint against Facebook is different. It is that Facebook has systematically broken some privacy rules, including some agreements it's had with the FTC in the past, and some alarming stories have come out about that. But breaking up the company doesn't seem like necessarily the best way to go there, although the complaints include the fact that some of its subsidiaries like Instagram and others effectively block out other companies that are competitors. I think the strongest case for breaking up is actually Google. And specifically, Google has a long track record, as documented both in European privacy decisions as well as in the FTC as well, of blocking competitors in the vertical search field and also digital advertising. Between Facebook and Google, they dominate over almost 70% of the market. And one other fact about these two companies, Google and Facebook, is that they actually have blocked out competitor social networks like Gab.
Right.
And Apple has done that as well on its phones. And so there are aspects that I think both the FTC and the DOJ need to look at. The fact that leftists are now asking for it is interesting, but they've spread around so much money on both sides of the political spectrum. I think that's why you haven't seen action taken before this.
Yeah, I believe that there will be action, not under the Trump administration, but ultimately under a Democrat administration, particularly if you get a left Congress. It's interesting. The article in the New York Times on Google says that when Google was founded in 1998, when you surf the net, you use Alta Vista or Lycos, and you got a healthy dose of spam or porn. In other words, they made it a lot better. Not unlike Standard Oil made things cheaper for everyone, energy cheaper for everyone. Nevertheless, the government eventually broke them up as well.
Yeah, Standard Oil does seem to be the comparison that people look at. Look, I'm always a little bit nervous that the federal government taking such a big intervention into the marketplace. I think that's dangerous. That said, I will note that under Democrats, Silicon Valley had its day in the sun. They were a Democrats' golden child for years. And I'm also concerned about other regulation targeting tech in this way, much more small steps, because big tech companies like Google or Facebook can afford it. It's going to be the smaller competitors that have a difficult time grappling with that.
So the unintended consequences, perhaps, even if someone means well, that all of these new rules and regulations would only hurt these companies that can't afford 5,000 lawyers.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think we've also got to look at the political concerns. We don't want Democrats doing it to penalize Facebook because they're upset about Trump.
Harmeet, are you convinced, or are you confident that creative destruction will rear its head again? I mean, there was a time when this country wanted to break up A&P Supermarket, wanted to break up Sears, wanted to break up a whole lot of companies that ultimately either went out of business on their own or are insignificant now.
Well, I share the concerns that antitrust law can be a very blunt instrument. However, history has shown that in targeted instances of antitrust intervention, actually it has led to disruptive evolution of great technology. So, for example, we wouldn't be talking about these companies right now if we hadn't broken up AT&T, which eventually led to the flourishing of the Internet. Microsoft as well, even though ultimately the United States government was not able to let the antitrust enforcement really stick. It got really a slap on the wrist as a result of having to look over their shoulder all the time because of antitrust regulators and their, frankly, very antitrust. Their practices were very anti-competitive. They actually began to censor themselves, and ultimately that allowed competitors like Google and others to build better search engines. So now Google is the Microsoft, really, and Google is getting away with a lot. And I think if Google gets a little bit of a penalty box or some of its practices are cut back, you may see better and more interesting technologies that we haven't even dreamed of yet.
We shall see. Spotlight is on all of them, particularly Google these days. Ladies, thank you both very much.